Getting fired was the best thing that ever happened to me. I know how that sounds. Because when it happened, I didn't think that at all. I thought my life was over. But there was a man who lived 2,000 years ago who understood something that took me years to figure out. His name was Seneca. And his story will change how you see every failure you've ever had. I want you to picture your life at its most comfortable. Good job. Steady paycheck. A routine that feels safe. That was me. I had built something I was proud of. I showed up every day. I worked hard. I played by the rules. And Seneca? He had done the same, just on a much grander scale. Born into wealth in ancient Rome, Seneca rose to become one of the muscle-braided minds of his generation. A philosopher, a writer, and advisordo emperors. By every measure, he had made it. Neither of us saw what was coming. For me, it was a meeting I didn't see on my calendar. A closed door. 3 people I didn't expect. And words I'll never forget: "We're letting you go." For Seneca, it was an accusation from Emperor Claudius. Accused of a crime he may not have committed. Stripped of his status. Stripped of his wealth. And exiled to a remote island called Corsica, thousands of miles from everything he had ever known. In one moment, everything we had built was gone. The weeks after I got fired were some of the darkest of my life. I applied to job after job. Rejection after rejection. I stopped telling people what was going on because I was ashamed. I had built my entire identity around what I did for a living. And without that, I didn't know who I was. Seneca knew that feeling too. On Corsica, he was cut off from Rome, from influence, from purpose, from the world that had defined him. He spent 8 years in exile. 8 years watching his reputation fade. 8 years wondering if he would ever matter again. Both of us were asking the same question in different centuries. Was this it? Was this how the story ended? My lowest point came at 2 a.m. on a Tuesday. I was sitting alone, staring at a rejection email, and I genuinely thought I have nothing left to offer anyone. That's a dangerous thought. And if you've been there, you know exactly what I mean. For Seneca, the dark night came when he realized exile might be permanent. That Rome, the city he had given his life to, had simply moved on without him. He wrote in his letters, "I have been struggling with a very serious question whether one should yield to fortune or resist." He was broken, but he was still thinking, and that thinking saved him. Then something shifted. One conversation changed everything. For me, it was a late night. YouTube video, a stranger telling their story of losing everything and rebuilding from zero. I remember thinking, if they could find meaning in the wreckage, maybe I could too. For Seneca, the shift came through writing, alone on Corsica with nothing but time. He began to put his thoughts on paper. No audience, no applause, no emperor to impress, just a man and his ideas, and slowly something extraordinary began to happen. He started writing some of the most powerful philosophy the world has ever seen. The pivot wasn't dramatic. It was quiet. Seneca stopped asking, "Why did this happen to me?" and started asking, "What can I build with what I have left?" I did the same. I stopped chasing the job I lost and started building something I could never be fired from. That was the moment everything changed. Let me be honest, the rebuild was not pretty. I started creating content with nothing: a phone, a free editing app, videos that maybe 20 people watched. I wanted to quit constantly. Some days I did quit and came back the next morning anyway. Seneca's grind looked different, but the spirit was the same. Day after day in exile, he wrote letters to his friend Lucille's, essays on anger, grief, time, and the good life. He wasn't writing for fame. He was writing to survive mentalito, make sense of a world that had treated him unjustly. But here's what neither of us understood at the time: grind was the transformation. Every video I made taught me something. Every letter Seneca wrote sharpened his mind. We weren't waiting to get back to our old lives. We were becoming someone our old lives never could have made us. Seneca was eventually recalled to Rome by Emperor Nero. Not as a disgraced exile, but as the most respected philosopher in the empire. His years of suffering had become his greatest credential. My breakthrough was smaller, but it felt just as big. The first comment from a stranger who said my video helped them get through their worst week. That was worth more than any salary I had ever earned. I am not the person who got fired anymore. That version of me was defined by a title, a desk, and a company that replaced me within 2 weeks. This version of me is defined by what I've built, by the stories I tell, by the people I reach. Seneca put it better than I ever could. He wrote, "It is not that I am brave, but that I know what is not worth fearing." Losing the job was terrifying, but it was not worth fearing, because it led me exactly where I was supposed to go. Seneca spent his final years writing some of humanity's greatest wisdom born entirely from his suffering. His exile didn't end his legacy. It created it. So here is what Seneca and my own life taught me about failure. First, failure removes what was never truly yours. The job, the title, the comfort, if it can be taken away, it was never really you. What remains when everything is stripped away that is who you actually are? Second, exile creates clarity. Seneca never would have written his greatest work inside the noise of Rome. I never would have found my purpose inside the comfort of a steady paycheck. Sometimes the forced removal is the gift. Third, the grind in the dark is never wasted. Every letter Seneca wrote in exile. Every video I made with 0 views. None of it was wasted. It was all preparation for what came next. If you've been fired, laid off, let go, pushed out, I want you to hear this clearly. You have not been abandoned by life. You have been redirected by it. The question Seneca asked himself in exile is the same one I am asking you. What will you build with the time you've been given? Your answer to that question is your legacy. If this video found you at the right moment, share it with someone who needs it. You might know exactly who that person is. Subscribe for more stories like this, history, philosophy, and real life colliding in ways that actually mean something. Drop a comment below. Tell me where you are in your story right now. I read every single one. Seneca survived exile and changed the world. You can survive this and change yours. I'll see you in the next one.